It's Randy Orton. Oh,
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.
Hey guys, what's up? Mr. Beataway Nana here, and today I'm coming at you with my non-wrestling Q&A. I submitted the video where you submit your questions. I think it was early last week, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. Apologies, it's taken well. Technically, it's not slightly longer than I anticipated, because I did say at some point the week after, and obviously it's very near the end of that week. So yeah. Anyway, without further ado, I asked for some questions. You gave them to me, and I've got to say the quality of questions on this were very, very good. I was very I was blown away by the quality of questions. I really was. I thought they were fantastic questions, really. So anyway, so first question, or first set of questions anyway, comes from Celtic Bird. When was the last time you cried? Now, it took me kind of a while to think about this, because I just couldn't really remember. But for me, I think honestly, it was probably when I found out that someone I knew had died. As I said, I don't tend to cry, that often, unless there's like a real extreme reason, and death is obviously something that I think really hits people hard, and it was definitely, obviously I don't want to go into details, that sort of thing, but yeah, that just to be honest with you, is when I found out someone I known had died. So that's basically it. Quick answer, really. What was the worst argument you've ever been in? What was it about, and who won? In all honesty, I'm not. Obviously, I've been in loads of arguments over my life. It's not. It's something that no one can avoid. You always come into arguments in your life. That's just a given. But I genuinely can't remember any sort of huge argument about something that I had with someone. I think this is mainly to do with, I think, the people that I come across in my life, for the most part, the opinions that we have are very similar. And even if I do get into heated arguments, it's usually with friends. So if we both disagree on something, we don't it never gets nasty, if you catch my drift. So I honestly can't really think of one at this moment, so apologies for that. I just genuinely can't think about anything, but a good question. Anyway, what gives you the creeps more than anything else? I'm not talking about a phobia like spiders or snakes. I'm talking about things that keep you up at night and make you very anxious. I think just sort of sometimes I do kind of just think oh, what happens when we die? That's one thing that I do genuinely sometimes. I guess that's probably what does creep me out a lot. Is there, do we just rot in the ground? Do our souls go somewhere? That's something that I find really, interesting, but also really creepy. It really kind of, because it's something that happens to everyone. Everyone dies, and everyone, I've just really kind of, sometimes I really just wonder, where do we go? Do we go anywhere? And I think that's just something that makes me feel just really creeps me out, and it's something I don't like to think about, but it does cross my mind quite a bit. So, thank you for your questions, Celtic Bird. They were very, very good. That man was the Daniel. Guilty pleasure songs. Cool. I mean, to be honest, I could be here all day if I, listed songs that were guilty pleasures for me. I think I'll just try and name a few sort of guilty pleasure ones off the top of my head. I'd probably say Kung Fu Fighting. I know it's not a very good song, but I genuinely it's a song it's a bit catchy more than anything, and I just really do enjoy it, I think. Not gonna lie, there's a couple of Britney Spears songs that are quite catchy. I'd say Toxic and Oops, I Did It Again. Being honest, I don't hate them. I don't hate those songs, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, that's pretty pathetic, but you know what? It is, and they're guilty pleasures for me, I think. Yeah, those are the ones that come to my head straight away, anyway. Greatest rivalry in music of all time in your eyes? No, it was interesting, because I would probably say the Beatles and the Stones, but they were like artists who didn't really hate each other though. I mean, I'm guessing more just in terms of like two artists who were amazing and were around at the same time, creating great music at the same time. I say the Beatles and the Stones. You know, they both had their similarities. You know, they're both British rock bands. You know, both their early stuff is somewhat similar. They both kind of did you know, their early stuff kind of was a spin-off of like kind of like blues music and that sort of thing. But the Beatles sort of evolved and, you know, started doing like more psychedelic stuff and it started to evolve their music. And the Stones evolved as well, but they took their own different direction. So I'd definitely say the Beatles and the Stones, just because they started off at similar kind of points and just branched out and really created some amazing songs and albums really. So I'd probably say the Beatles and the Stones, to be honest with you. Bigger impact / influence, Elvis, Michael Jackson, or the Beatles? Now this one's really tough because these are all like, you could argue like any order, but I think for me, in terms of what I've been exposed to in my life, who I think is who's had the most impact and influence, I would say and I know this is probably biased, but I'd say the Beatles have had the biggest impact on music. And I know a lot of people disagree, and I can, you know what, I can see you could argue Michael Jackson and Elvis as well. I'm not going to say you're wrong. But I just think, for me personally, like the amount of music I've listened to and stuff that I enjoy, a lot of that, like people have been influenced by the Beatles and their music. And you know, the Beatles are their music is played, you know, all around the world still to this day. Everyone knows who they are, you know. And the same with the other two as well. But I would say the Beatles, just in the sense of, you know, they've inspired they basically influenced so much of rock and pop music. You can't really, they're you know, everyone just knows who they are. Michael Jackson's had a huge influence as well on like pop music and just pop artists in general. So he was definitely an influential figure. I'd probably say he's the least influential out of these three. I think Elvis, you could definitely argue. I think he influenced, so you know, you could argue in a sense he sort of influenced the Beatles in a way. So I say the Beatles, and then probably Elvis second, and Michael Jackson third. I know I didn't say to rank it, but that's just what I think, if I was to rank it anyway. Favourite James Bond theme? And it's pretty obvious. I'm sure a lot of you can probably guess what it is. Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney. And yeah, it's just a really great song. I love the kind of the change in speed of the song. Like, you know, it starts off pretty, you know, slow, you know, and then it builds up, and then it comes back down again. It builds up again, and just in general, I think as well, just musically, it's so well done as well. Use of just different instruments and everything, and you know, it's just a fantastic song. But I do want to say, if it wasn't for this one, because I think if it wasn't for Live and Let Die, I probably would say You Know My Name by Chris Cornell for Casino Royale. That's a really, really awesome theme. So yeah, that'll be my second one. But yeah, my favourite is Live and Let Die. What is your personal favourite trilogy of movies? I'd probably have to say, and I know this is probably a bit cliche, a bit like, you know, the kind of normal answer, I guess, but the original Star Wars films, you know, I was brought up on those films. I watched those films so many times. You know, I just love those films to death. Like, I could watch those every day and not get bored of them. They're just a part of me in a way, because I grew up with it. I mean, I did grow, you know, I watched prequels as well, but they weren't as good. But the original Star Wars trilogy is just fantastic, you know. Do I really need to explain? I think a lot of people know as to why. And everyone's heard of it as well. It's just a film trilogy that has, you know, just it's its own kind of, you know, machine in a way. It's huge. Like it's Star Wars. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, thank you for the questions. Next we go on to Lundrick. When Newcastle come back to the Premier League, what do they need to do to progress? Okay, I think basically, and I think Rafa Benitez has said this. We need to hold on. Like he doesn't want to make Newcastle a stepping stone club. You know, I think we really need to hold on to our best players, because we've done this in the past where we've let go of players, you know, like Cabaye and those sort of players where they've been a huge part of our team, and they've, you know, scored goals, that sort of thing, and then we sell them to better clubs for massive fees, and you know, I think we just need to try and hold on to our best players and continue the depth in our squad. I'd maybe say defensively, maybe get another left back, because I think Dummett just can't quite cut it in the Premier League. Haidara, I think, is still young. He could probably still progress. Lazar, I haven't seen much of him, but maybe he's the business, but I'm not too sure. But maybe another left back as well. Name your 11 in world football today with a manager. Right, okay. So my starting 11 for my world 11, I would probably have De Gea in goal. Just so you know, before I continue, I'm going for a 4-3-3 formation. So De Gea in goal, right back Lahm, centre backs Jerome Boateng, Sergio Ramos, left back Alaba, central midfield Modric, Iniesta, and Kevin De Bruyne. Right winger Messi, striker Luis Suarez, and left wing Ronaldo. And so for manager, there's a bit of a tough one for me personally, and I know he's had a bit of a bump in the road as City manager, but I think I would go for Pep Guardiola. I think I'd probably have him as manager of my team. Most underrated in-betweeners moment. I've thought about this for a while, and one moment like this don't think gets not enough love is when Will eats the bonsai tree. I just find that hilarious. That whole bit in when they go to the Warwick uni house, it's just so funny. And when Jay's like, "Oh, shall I punch myself in the face?" and the guy tells him to do it, and he does it. It's just hilarious. And then when Will says, "If I eat this bonsai tree, will I suddenly become cool and interesting?" and then he goes to actually eat the bonsai tree, and it's just hilarious. Predict your top 6 for this season and your bottom 3 in the Premiership. Okay, so I think top of the table, I will probably go for Man City. I know, as I said, a bit of a bump in the road, but I still think they've got the best team in the league. I think again, they've got Aguero and De Bruyne, who I think are probably 2 of the best players in the Premiership. I think where they may struggle a bit is I think the midfield could potentially be improved a bit. I know I said De Bruyne, but I don't really rate Fernando or Fernandinho. I don't think they're that good. I think City could do a lot better, but I think Man City could probably do with some better fullbacks as well. As I think Sanya, Kolarov are just getting slightly too old. I think. Now, second place, I kind of denied about this, but I obviously at the start of the season I had a prediction of this, but I think it's changed actually. I think I'm going to go with Arsenal. I think Arsenal will probably have a very good season, but again, I just don't think they'll cut it. I think for the most part, I think they'll be very consistent throughout the season, as they usually are, but then towards the end they'll just miss out on the league title. And then third, I'm going to go for Liverpool. I think Liverpool have a really great attacking team. They've got Daniel Sturridge, Mane, Coutinho, Firmino, Wijnaldum. That's, in my opinion, that's one of the best attacking forces in the Premier League, arguably in the world as well. I think they've just got such a threat, and it's going to terrorise Premier League defenders, and it has this season already. And I think the only thing I think that will prevent Liverpool from winning the league really is the defence. I think it's a bit shaky, personally. Fourth, I've gone for Man United. Now, I think with Man United, they've gone through a bit of a rocky spell themselves, but I think Mourinho will pick it up. I think they'll start to grind out results. They got a good result against Liverpool. They got a draw there at Anfield, which is, it wasn't the most exciting game, but from a Man United standpoint, it was a good performance in that sense. So, I think Man United will get fourth. Fifth, I'm going to go for Spurs. I think Spurs, I do think they have a good team. However, I don't think they've strengthened that well after last season. And I just don't think their squad is as good as other teams. But it's a very good squad, though. I just don't think they'll be able to get the results against some of the other top teams. So I put Spurs in fifth. Now, for sixth, this was a really tough one, but I think I'd probably put Chelsea in at sixth. Again, they've had a bit of a dodgy run as well, but I think Conte, I don't think he'll be able to steady the shit completely, but I think he'll be able to get better results as the season goes on, and I think they'll probably just, by the skin of their teeth, probably get sixth. Now, for the bottom three, this is an interesting one. I think I've kind of my opinion really hasn't changed that much. I think since the start of the season. So for 18th, or actually I'll start from the bottom. Actually, I'll go from 20th upwards. So at 20th, I'm gonna go for Hull City. I just don't think their squad is good enough to cut it. Basically, I think the Premier League. I mean, unfortunately at the start of the season they didn't have that many players, and I think they have obviously got their squad up higher. They've got more people in their squad now because at the start of the season they only had 13 senior players, but obviously now I think they've got more than that now. So, but I genuinely looking at their team, I just don't think it's good enough to cut it in the Premier League. 19th, I'm gonna go for Sunderland. I think Sunderland just again don't really have a very good team. Very weak. I know they've got Jermaine Defoe, who is a great striker still at his age. He's scoring a lot of goals, but I don't think he'll be able to keep them up this time. They've for so long Sunderland just hung on by hook or by crook, and I've got to be honest, I just don't see them surviving really. It's become at this point that it's almost a tradition that Sunderland just sort of stay up by the skin of their teeth, but I personally just don't really see them surviving, in all honesty. I just don't think they're good enough, honestly. And then for 18th, I've got to go for Swansea. I think the appointment of Bob Bradley was a very questionable one. I just don't think he'll be able to cut it in the Premier League. And again, their squad I just don't think is that good. Again, I think it'll probably, Swansea have been that team where they've kind of been, in the relegation battle, but they usually get out of it fairly early on. But I just don't think this time they'll be able to do that. I just don't think their squad is good enough, especially in comparison to other teams around them. So, yeah, that's my bottom three for the Premier League. Thank you for your questions, Lundrick. Next set of questions come from Tom Foley. His first question: who is the most influential Fulham fan you have met? Gotta be honest, mate. I haven't met any influential Fulham fans, so I can't say that. I'm sorry. Anyway, next question from him. Become a Sunderland fan and get a cheeky 1 million, or be broke for the rest of your life. Okay, so just for some context, for those of you who don't know, I do in fact support Newcastle United, and Newcastle United's rival team is Sunderland. So basically he's saying, would I become a Sunderland fan and get a 1 million, or be broke for the rest of my life? And you know what? I'd rather be broke for the rest of my life. I am not supporting Sunderland. I don't care if I have a million. For me, I've been a Newcastle fan as long as I can remember. I'm not supporting, I'm not supporting the rival team just so I can have a mil. I'm sorry. So, I would rather be broke. Plans for Halloween. Honestly, I don't really have anything sorted for Halloween. It's a holiday that I just don't really get. Well, I get it, I guess, but it's one of those things where in the UK it's not that as popular as it is in America. People don't really care about it as much. People just use it as an excuse to get drunk, really. So maybe that, I don't know, but it's on a Monday though, isn't it? I probably won't be then. Oh well. I probably won't be doing anything then. Opinion on the clown shit. Oh well. Honestly, obviously they're doing it because it's around Halloween time, but it's just crazy. Like, I mean, I've never had a phobia of clowns. I don't really have that. I can see why people are scared of clowns, especially now. Like, God, but it's honestly just been very creepy. I mean, I've been looking out to see if there have been any clown spottings near where I live, and there actually have been. I think in not in the exact town where I live, but towns near it, and it's quite scary, really. There's been reports of it's not as bad in the UK as it is in America. The stuff in America is crazy. There've been videos and everything. It's really, really odd. It's so bizarre, really. That's just to be frank. Favorite YouTuber friend? Oh, now this is very, very tough one. But I'll probably have to go with a YouTuber called Soft Cheek Foley. If you don't know Soft Cheek Foley, check him out. He's done some good videos. But yeah. Anyway, he hasn't. But I will say he doesn't consistently upload, so you may have to wait a while for his next video. But Soft Cheek Foley, definitely a great friend of mine. Probably be my favorite YouTuber friend. Thank you for your question. Deal 101 Raw. First question. Your ideal woman. If God said you to create your ideal wife, and
I'll grant her to you. What would you know? What assets would I give her? I guess looks and personality. You know, I think I think a lot of people will agree with me. I think this is probably the best question on this Q&A. It's a very good question. So I had to kind of think about this for a bit. You know, and I think it'll be an interesting question to answer. I think it'll give people a lot more of a insight into me, I think. So, okay, let's start off with just height. I think that's probably the best place to start. I don't want it to be like, obviously, like a midget, but I don't want it to be like a giant either. I'll say around like, between 5, like, I'd probably say between 5, this is roughly, 5'2" to like 5'9", 5'10", because I'm about 11, so I don't want them being the same height or taller than me. So anything like in the 5 foot category is fine for me, really. In terms of like hair, I'd probably say brunette. I've noticed in my kind of life, I've been more in real life. I'm talking about anyway. I've been more attracted to brunettes, so I'd probably say a brunette. You know, in terms of like assets, if you catch my drift, I think we all know what I'm talking about here. For both, I'd say not too big, but not too small, because I think they can be too big. Like, so I'd say like, obviously a bit of size on them, but not too much. If you catch my drift. So that's basically the looks aspect sorted. Personality. I basically say someone, and I think a lot of people say this, but people who are like, you know, smart and funny and just able to kind of have a laugh, because I'm someone who, I mean, I don't really come across like this on my videos, because usually I'm talking about just topics that don't really need much humour, but I'd like to think anyway that I'm someone who's quite funny amongst my friends and just people that I come across in life, and I like to, you know, crack a lot of jokes and stuff, so I'd like them to kind of be able to enjoy my humour and, you know, be able to just kind of laugh at me and themselves, really. And just someone who's, you know, really generous as well, someone who's, you know, not afraid to kind of, you know, be a bit open as well, I think, as well. Someone who's just open, you know, obviously not too open where like straight away they give you their entire life story, but someone that you can just talk to and, you know, learn something new about them every time, I guess. Next question from him. Non-wrestling YouTuber you've always wanted to meet. Now, for me, this is quite an easy one. I don't know if some of you guys definitely will have heard of him, others won't. He's called the True Geordie. Now, he reviews the world of football and just, you know, gives his opinions on it and everything. And obviously, he supports Newcastle United, like myself. He's brutally honest and just, I just love his videos. If you haven't seen them and you're a football fan, I'd recommend you check them out. He's brilliant. He's hilarious as well, and his podcast as well is awesome. So I would say definitely the True Geordie. I just have so much to talk about with him, and he just seems like such a lad, in my opinion. Your thoughts on Halloween? I mean, I kind of said it earlier on, but I'm not really that huge on Halloween. It's just something I don't really care about. I mean, the only thing that's really good about it is sometimes there are parties, and that's about it, really. So I don't really care about Halloween, if I'm being honest. Favorite movie of all time? Now, for me, this always changes. You know, sometimes it's The Empire Strikes Back, sometimes it's GoldenEye, sometimes it's Return of the Jedi. For me, it always changes. And at the moment, I'm kind of in that in-between stage. Maybe GoldenEye at this current moment, but I'm, you know, it will definitely change over time, for me personally. Favorite song of all time? I'd probably say my favorite Beatles song as well, Revolution. It's the B-side to Hey Jude, I believe, and it's a really, really good song. The lyrics are, you know, are brilliantly written. The guitar is amazing. The drumming is simple, but it works really well in the song. Everything about the song, I think, is just really, really it's an awesome combination. That song really is. Thank you for your question. So next, we will go on to, if it will let me scroll down. There we go. Prince of Strong Style, the final batch of questions from him. So, is the In-Betweeners recommended, considering you and Lundrick discussed this online before? Oh, yes, definitely. The In-Betweeners is amazing. I think, and I know they created an American version of it. It's shit. I watched a couple of episodes of it. It's awful. It's one of the worst shows I've ever seen. But the UK version is amazing. It's brilliantly written. It's relatable to anyone, and it's just so funny as well. I think even American audiences, I think, will be able to find the In-Betweeners funny. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And it's only three series as well, which is 6 episodes. So there's only 18 episodes in total. So you'll be able to get through the In-Betweeners in a day, I reckon, if you put your mind to it. If you are your current age and you had a chance to go back in time to a Beatles concert, which one would you go to? I really thought about this, and I wouldn't say, the stereotypical like Shea Stadium, because if anything, like, it's too far. It's like there's the actual where the seating is, like it's really far away from where they actually played. So I'd probably say a more kind of like a venue that's a lot smaller and you can actually get close to them. Maybe something like the Royal Variety performances that they did, something like that. Maybe even like an early Cavern show before they became famous. I think that would have been pretty cool. Name your biggest pet peeves. Okay, first off, when people say guesstimate, that really annoys me. Just say estimate or guess. Don't combine the two. It just sounds really, really stupid. Another thing is, I don't like it when when you get cutlery, and you get a knife and a fork, and the handle, like the design of the handle, they don't match. That really annoys me as well. I don't know why. It just it really annoys me. And then another thing is when, because I like to set up my CDs and DVDs in some sort of order. So like when I would set my, like, especially my Beatles albums, I'd set them up like chronologically. So from their first album to their last album, and then with like my wrestling DVDs. If you've seen that video, my wrestling collection is huge in terms of like pay-per-views. I put them in like a chronological order, so the oldest further back and the most recent one on the other side. So, and then when they like the order of them gets rearranged for like cleaning and stuff, and it gets put back in a different order, that really annoys me as well. So I'd say those are the two or three biggest pet peeves for me. What are some forgotten television shows that you enjoyed? Now, when you say forgotten television shows, do you mean as in like shows that people don't remember, or shows that I forgot I liked and then found them again? I'll probably just go for the second option because I actually have an answer for that, and I'll say Newswipe. It's a show which is hosted by Charlie Brooker, and he basically goes through and reviews the week and gives his take on it, and it's really, really funny. The humor's really dry, but I really enjoy it. I think Charlie Brooker is just such a hilarious guy, and I think Newswipe and it's just a really good show. So I'd say Newswipe. Have you ever thought of reviewing Beatles albums on your second channel? If so, what are the recommended ones for new listeners? Okay, so basically, I've discussed this on my Ask.fm. I will definitely try and review not just Beatles albums, but just albums in general. Obviously, I want to get the James Bond reviews done. That's why I've only done James Bond reviews. So don't worry, I will do other videos on that channel. But I just want to get the James Bond reviews done. I'm nearly actually done. I've only got like I think 5 films left to do. But after that, yeah, I'll definitely start doing more different videos. I think I'll definitely do Beatles album reviews. I'll probably go in chronological order. But I'll also review other albums and other films as well. So that's why I've called it Murphy's Opinions, because it's just my opinions on different stuff. So yeah, and for recommended albums, I'll say my 5 favourite Beatles albums, and I recommend you listen to these 5. So my favourite one would be Abbey Road. My second favourite would be Revolver. My third favourite would be Sgt. Pepper. Number 4 would be Rubber Soul, and number 5, The White Album. Those are the Beatles albums I recommend you check out. I would say all of them, but if I had to narrow it down, I would say those 5. So thank you guys for watching my Q&A. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you all for the questions. Like the video, comment below. Subscribe to my second channel. Follow me on Ask.fm and Twitter. And once again, thanks for watching, guys.